Hello everybody, my name is Rolo and today we're reading some more Reddit stories. So if that's your cup of tea, please do like and subscribe, and let's get into today's first story. Today's first story comes from Throwaway Broken Driver with the title, I, 26 female, broke my wrist and my husband, 28 male, won't help me out driving. Where do I go from here? A couple days ago, I was doing yard work and I tripped and fell and broke my wrist. It's in a cast and will be for at least 4 weeks. I work full-time in person, about 30 minutes away from home. I took the last 2 days off from work, but I need to go back on Monday. I can't drive my car because it is stick shift and the wrist I broke is on the arm I used to shift. I can't grab the shifter to change gears, so I can't drive it. My husband drives an automatic, and while it wouldn't be the greatest thing, I could drive it. I asked him if he would mind switching cars with me until I'm able to shift gears again. He said no because he doesn't like driving my car. I taught him how and he's used it before, he just doesn't like it. So I asked if he would drive me to and from work at least a few times per week. He also said no because he doesn't want to wake up early. He works 3 shifts per week in the evenings. I would be home with his car before he had to leave for work. He would also have time to drive me home from work without being late for work. I am also the breadwinner and we need the money I make from working. He told me I should just Uber, but it would be at least $60 per day, and I can't afford that. I feel unsupported. I get the situation sucks, but a couple years ago when his car wasn't working, I let him use my car. He worked more back then, 5 days per week, so I let him use it to go to work and also to go out with friends and stuff. So I feel I am not being reciprocated. He doesn't owe me for that, but also he isn't willing to help me out with this, and the inconvenience for letting me use his car is much less for him because he'd be sleeping when I was using it. Where do I go from here? Am I asking or expecting for too much? No, you're not asking or expecting too much. You're expecting for your partner to be a partner and help you out in the situation. It's not like you went and broke your wrist on purpose. It was an accident, and unfortunately that's just how it is right now. In marriage, you're supposed to have made the vows in sickness and in health, and right now you need his help in your sickness. You helped him when he was struggling. That's how marriages work. That's how relationships in general work. It's a team effort in relationships to make sure it works, and he's just not putting in that effort right now. Hopefully you manage to talk some sense into him, or you find a solution that works for you. Now let's see what the commenters have to say. One commenter says, he needs to step up or get the fuck out. Tell him he's being immature and lame, and if he doesn't let you use his car, you'll just take time off from work and he can pay all the bills. Considering you do all the yard work, it shouldn't be a big ask. To which OP says, we can't make it on just his income alone, and I won't be able to pay my part in full if I have to spend $60 per day for Uber. I don't know what he expects to happen. I also don't do all the yard work. I was just doing some and fell. I was picking up sticks and leaves from the winter so he could mow the lawn. Another commenter says, he kind of does owe you though, because a marriage is a partnership. He does need to step up here. Oprah replies to that with a downvoted comment saying, I agree he needs to step up, but by he doesn't owe me, I mean I didn't let him use my car so one day I could throw in his face, well, I let you use my car. But also I did, and the inconvenience was greater for me than it would be for him. A different commenter says, assuming you work a job where this is theoretically possible, I would ask for work from home accommodations while you recover. Given that you have a cast, the medical eligibility should not be in question. That would be the first thing. As for the rest, your husband is being unreasonable, But if he wants to deduct $120 from his paycheck to cover your Uber in each direction, well, something tells me he'll spin that to be your responsibility. But I don't understand his mentality. As part of getting married is having someone to support you when you need it. Getting up early or making do with a manual is pretty light support. Assuming you can't get a work from home accommodation, that is. I'm sure if the roles were reversed, you would have no trouble waking up early to drive him to work. I'm not sure what arguments you can use on him because you need to convince him he should care about the love of his life, which isn't something that should need to be argued. I will say that my dad was like your husband. And well, his adult kids never talked to him, and there's a reason he got divorced and never remarried. Opie replies to that saying, I can't do work from home, I asked, but with the broken wrist I will be on light duty. Not exactly sure what that will entail, but that's the plan. My boss is kind and said we will figure it out so I'm not on FMLA unpaid or something like that, but her kindness can only go so far. She can't disregard company policy. I also would inconvenience myself for him. I have when I let him use my car for over a month. He was working more days and I had to shift my schedule at work so I'd be back home in time for him to take the car. I'm lucky my boss let me do it. It made it much harder to do things like grocery shop or see family, but I did it because I love and support him and he needed to get to work. Anyway, let's move on to Opie's update, which came 4 days later. I got a lot of advice on my last post, some helpful, some not. A lot of people slammed him for not working more. I want to clear that up. He was working the same amount of hours as I was, sometimes more, but his hours got cut at work. He's been looking for a new job or a second one, but hasn't had much luck. I know he has been looking and putting in effort. That's not an issue. But I sat down with him and said that we really need to talk about this because I had to go to work today, Monday. I sat down and told him, I get he is having a hard time with his hours being cut and trying to navigate the job market, but I have a good job and I need to get there. And I can't afford to Uber a car while I heal. We need to find a solution. He kept talking in circles with the same reasons I mentioned in the last post. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, that is not good enough for me. I don't accept those reasons and I don't think they're true. What is the actual reason? We are married and partners. Why am I left hanging like this? He finally told me the truth. Since his hours got cut, he hasn't been maintaining his car. He had savings and maintained his car when he worked more, but when his hours got cut, he started using his savings to pay his part of the bills. And when it ran low, he finally let me readjust our spending. I pushed for it from the start, but he refused. But when his savings ran low, his car started having problems, and he couldn't afford to fix it. He needs new tires. He needs new brakes. The AC stopped working. And he also is well overdue for an oil change. He used to keep up with this stuff, but hasn't because he is low on money. He was ashamed and didn't want me to use his car or ride in it because he didn't want me to know how bad it was. He was embarrassed, so he never brought it up. So, he has been driving an unsafe car and didn't want me to drive it. After a very long talk, we came to a solution. I will buy him used tires. They need to be done, but can wait a week as we look and get this set up. Yesterday, we replaced the brake pads and did an oil change. I couldn't physically help, but I read him steps and looked over things when he wasn't sure. His dad also helped him over FaceTime. Between our brains, we figured it out. We decided not to mess with the AC because that's a comfort thing and not necessary, especially during this time of year. So in all, he was having a private struggle I wasn't aware of. I usually don't go in his car, so I never noticed. And this morning, he drove me to and from work. And either he will drive me or I will drive myself with his permission. Depends on the day. I knew he was struggling with the lack of income, and I have been pushing and pushing for him to let me do more. But he held out due to pride, and his car suffered. And honestly, I think I might do the same thing. I still feel a bit betrayed, and the trust has eroded a bit, but at the same time, I also feel like I got closer to him. It's a weird feeling, and I can't fully explain it, but in the end, I can get to work with his help. While I want to say that overall this is a good update, it's really not good that he was hiding things from his wife, his partner, and pretty big things from the sounds of it. His savings are dwindled, his car is breaking down pretty quickly. I mean, half the car is gone. Brakes, tires, AC, oil. I don't know what else there is to a car. I'm a bit dumb when it comes to that, but I feel like that's most of the car. And he didn't tell you any of these things. That's crazy to me. But I'm glad that you managed to work out a compromise. He's taking you to and from work. You can still earn money and hopefully build yourselves back up together as a team, as it should be. Good for you, OP. I hope that the situation works out for you. Now for the comments. One person says, make sure to give yourself points for talking this out. Whenever someone asks, what's the most important thing in a relationship, communication is always the winner. Because without it, you can't do anything else. And your ability to have awkward and difficult conversations that stay respectful and clear is going to go along with the success of your relationship. I don't recall if I mentioned this in your first post, but you both may find the book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, by John Gottman and Nan Silver to be a good read. Gottman did research on married couples and found behaviors that went with happy marriages and other behaviors that went with marriages that ended in divorce. Great things to know if you're in a relationship. To which OP says, communication is key. We have always been great communicators with the hard stuff. I guess this time his shame didn't let him let me in this time. But he eventually did, and we worked it out. And I think that made us stronger. I am hurt still because he didn't let me in before, but I also get why he didn't. Another commenter says, right? It is understandable, and emotions make us do these kinds of things. But he saw that telling you the truth was the right thing to do, and as long as you don't tease or belittle him for what he did, he's more likely to trust you and talk to you sooner in the future. Opie replies saying, I would never ever tease him for opening up. When he finally opened up about this, my brain was focused on comforting him and solutions we can do together. That's always my go-to. I am hurt he hid it, but I also see why he did. I am also hurt by the lies and the reasoning, but also thankful he opened up finally. So, it's hard to know how exactly I feel, lol. But overall, I'm thankful he opened up. But it didn't have to go this far. Our next story comes from the Am I the Asshole subreddit, but it doesn't have an update yet. From the user Molasses Brat, titled, Am I the asshole for yelling at my friend cause she almost got us into a car accident? I'm 19 female. My friend is also 19 female. She got her license about 2 months ago. I'm older by a few months and got mine when I was 18 on my birthday. So I have about a year and some months over her when it comes to driving experience. I usually drive to work and follow traffic laws. I've never gotten pulled over or gotten a speeding ticket so far. Yesterday, me and my friend and her boyfriend went out for dinner. She offered to drive me home, which worked out because my mum had the car anyways. After dinner, her boyfriend sat in the back seat immediately, which I found a little bit odd, but brushed it off for him wanting us to sit together in the front. When we started driving, The first thing I noticed was she didn't do a complete stop at a stop sign. This wouldn't usually bother me if there was absolutely no one there, but it was a little busy, and she barely stopped and just gunned it. The other cars were visible, but not close enough. I didn't say anything, because it was fine. Then, she needed gas, so we stopped at a gas station. This is where I may be the asshole. As we were coming out of the gas station, my friend didn't look at all at the oncoming traffic and just sped out. We nearly got hit and it was on my side, so I physically flinched and said, "Watch out!" The other car honked at us, but we kept going. And once we did, I told my friend, "Why didn't you look? Do you know how dangerous that was?" She was quiet, told me a soft sorry, and kept going. Even her boyfriend chimed in, "You didn't even look." And she just got more quiet. When we got to my place, I asked if she was okay, and she told me that I can't just yell at her while she drives, because that's more dangerous since she's distracted. I said, "I get that, but that car had the right of way, and you just came straight out without even a glance in the opposite direction. We all could have gotten hurt or possibly even killed if the other driver wasn't paying attention." She said it still wasn't right for me to overreact, because then she got scared and thought I'd yell at her at how she's messing up, like her mum or her dad. I said, "But your parents aren't here, and you were being reckless. That other car's bumper was basically at my side of the window. I would have gotten the most serious damage if we did crash. I'm obviously going to react if it's my or anyone else's life on the line. Just because you passed your driver's license exam doesn't mean you're a pro." She said that I wasn't a pro either and that I've only had mine for a year, which is true, but I've been driving for a year more than she has. I have more experience no matter what. So, am I the asshole for overreacting at my friend being a reckless driver? She's still mad at me now, and her boyfriend is saying I hurt her feelings by insinuating she was a bad driver. You're not the asshole at all in this situation. You had a natural fight or flight response to a situation where your life was put at risk because of her actions. When you're driving, you always have to be aware. There's so many things you have to look out for. And if she can't do that, she should not be on the road. Simple as that. She put your life at risk, her life at risk, her boyfriend's life at risk. Not to mention, she put the other car's driver's life at risk, and anyone else who would have been impacted if they had crashed. I hate people who don't pay attention when they're driving. It's so dangerous, not only for themselves, but for everybody around them. It just sucks, and she is the asshole. You have nothing to apologize for, and she should learn to drive or take her test again. Now, of course, like most drivers, I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody can be a perfect driver. There's too much to do behind the wheel. It's just not practical. But the least that you can do is focus and check your surroundings when you're driving a 5-ton death machine where the slightest thing that happens, you could die. Your life is at risk. So, you're not the asshole, OP. Your reaction was natural. Now let's see what the comments have to say about this. Flados Ghost says, "Not the asshole. She's a bad driver. Refuse to ride with her again." Inf says, "Not the asshole. This person should not be driving." Agosto in the Sun says, "Not the asshole. And you didn't overreact. At all. If she's such a snowflake that she gets upset when someone yells at her after she has just endangered both their lives, she shouldn't be driving at all." Spirited Resident 889 says, "Not the asshole at all. She straight up is a bad driver. Getting yelled at about a near catastrophic injury is a far lesser consequence than what was actually happening. She needs to enroll in a driver's education course where she can learn in a controlled environment. That will be far less expensive than any kind of accident, which, judging by how she drives, is not a matter of if, but when. To which Otaku Chips replies saying, being that close to being T-boned due to her driving would make me never get in her car ever again. I'll walk, thanks. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the stories. Please do comment down below and let me know your thoughts and opinions. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye!